Welcome everybody to the Chequamegon 40. This classic point-to-point race takes riders through 39 miles of iconic Wisconsin Northwoods.
3, 2, 1,
This is kind of a crazy race because although it's like a huge grass field, there's really only one good fast line.
I want it to be really hard from the beginning and not have too many like lulls.
And this climb just keeps coming up and up and up.
Fire tower is where a lot starts to happen in the race.
And Sevilla's just put in an attack.
That section through the woods really just broke this race up.
You just have to kind of act on instinct, go with your gut and not hesitate.
You know, I've lost sprints because I haven't pushed all the way to the line before. You think you have it, but then someone sneaks by at the end.
Here we go. Keep your eyes open. We're ready for a three-way puck finish.
Welcome to the 2024 Chequamegon 40. My name is Michelle Duffy. I am the marketing director at Life Time. This iconic mountain bike festival is 41 years old this year and one of the most community-oriented events we host.
Cycling is community, man. You want to do it with everybody.
This weekend, we are expecting thousands of spectators, riders, and volunteers to converge on the little town of Cable, Wisconsin.
This is not the Chicago Marathon or the Twin Cities Triathlon. This is Cable, Wisconsin with maybe 800 people in it.
Thanks for saying hi.
We just like people coming up to the area and enjoying themselves. It's what we do. It's a part of our fabric.
This is my first time. My dad used to time this race for about 20 years. So, coming back.
We wanted to create an event that was perpetuated, that was attractive to families for the benefit of the community.
Favorite event of the year, a little longer.
Right, Bacon? This is basically the kickoff to the main event.
We travel full time as a family going around a bike racing. This is my first time doing 40 this year.
There's guys that have been doing it. They walk up to our booth. They let us know that they've been here for 37 years every year. And then we get people coming by the booth that have, this is their first time and they're just as excited.
First time on a mountain bike here. I've been on a fat bike the last 3 years. So.
The Chequamegon 40 is stop number 4 in the Life Time Grand Prix presented by Mazda. A 7-event series that takes on some of the most legendary cycling events in the United States. These athletes are competing for a $300,000 prize purse that will be awarded in October after the final race. But now it's time for the Chequamegon 40. Last year we saw a sprint finish in both the women's and men's fields, and we expect another exciting finish this year to what is the shortest and fastest event in the Life Time Grand Prix presented by Mazda.
Welcome everybody to the Chequamegon 40. This classic point-to-point race takes riders through 39 miles of iconic Wisconsin Northwoods, following parts of the famous Berkey cross-country ski trail. Our athletes are starting to make their way to the start line, but before we join the action, let's take a look at the Life Time Grand Prix leaderboard brought to you by SBLI. After the race in Leadville, our top 3 men in the Grand Prix are Keegan, Payson, and Lachlan with 94, 87, and 83 points respectively. Behind them, it's Matt Beers and Toby Rode rounding out the top 5. On the women's side, Sofia's holding on to her familiar first place spot with 88 points. 5 points back from her is Haley Smith. Hannah Otto is in 3rd with 81, and Alexis Skarda and Sarah Sturm hold the 4th and 5th place spots. And now we're only moments away from the next installment in the Grand Prix, where we'll see if anybody can shake up the top of the leaderboard. Now this is the shortest and fastest of the Grand Prix courses, part mountain bike, part gravel, and all adventure. It's a thrilling ride, not to mention, with rain clouds looming, these athletes are probably going to be dealing with some mud as well. For a closer look at the Chequamegon 40 course, here's Michelle Duffy once again.
The Chequamegon 40 begins at Wheeler Road in Hayward, Wisconsin. It runs 38.6 miles over the famed American Birkebeiner ski trail, as well as forest roads and wooded paths, to the finish line at the Dirksen Family Great Hall in Cable, Wisconsin. The course is known for its punchy climbs and high speeds, as the riders will gain roughly 2,500 feet of elevation over the course of 2 to 2.5 hours. For the elite field, there's only one opportunity to stop for team support in this race, and it's at the 00 checkpoint at mile 15, a popular place for spectators to gather and cheer on the riders. At mile 21, they will contend with the Sealy Fire Tower climb, the course's biggest feature. At mile 26, the riders will be on the Berkey Ski Trail as they roll into Seven Sisters, a series of 7 punchy climbs. Finally, just before the end, there's a tight section known as the Sleigh Trail. After that, it's back on the Berkey, where spectators will be lined up for a sprint finish.
Up first, we got the pro women, who will have a 30-minute head start of the men, so we'll follow them out and catch the beginning of their race, then double back for the start of the men. And the start should be interesting. It's at the bottom of this steep, grassy, cross-country ski hill. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a selection right off the bat. Without further ado, let's get right into it with the start of the women's race.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I think it will be fast from the get-go, from the start, because it's also so short. Everyone wants to do well, and you can't necessarily just wait for the finish line to make a difference.
Alexis Skarda right now at the front, setting the pace. Madigan Munro sitting second. Again, 2 key riders that are throwing a little different dynamic to the race. Madigan Munro, Savilia Blunk.
Energy conservation is so important. I want to be in the front, in a good position where I can carry speed up and over the rollers. This is kind of a crazy race because although it's like a huge grass field, there's really only one good fast line.
They've come over that first rise. Now they've got a couple of rollers, can kind of settle in a bit more.
The word out on course is that the women are about 8 miles in and riding in a large group on the single track. Aaron Osborne is in the lead, but there isn't much separation with Aaron Huck on her wheel, Alexis in the 3rd position, and about 15 other riders all lined up.
Chequamegon as a race is super unique. A lot of people like to call the Midwest flat, but I would say there isn't a single flat part of the course.
Back on the gravel road for the first attack.
Heard some people reference it to like Mario Kart, like the rainbow race at Mario Kart. It kind of feels like that when you're going with a big pack.
I think he's starting to blow up a bit. We've got Kimo Auto off the back, Haley Green off the back.
So there you have it, about 15 miles in, and the women's field is already starting to come apart. We'll catch back up with the women at the 00 aid station. But first, it's time to go back to the start line for the beginning of the men's race.
You're going into this race like expected to be on the podium. That can set you back, you know, mess with your head and stuff. So having no expectations, nothing to lose.
Starting the Chequamegon 40. It's fast. It's so fast. This whole shot, really important to get a good position on this grass uphill leading on to the start.
The start, riding through some of that grass, it's like you feel like you're working so hard, just like muscling the bike, and you're barely going anywhere.
So there it is. The entire elite field is on course, and the Chequamegon 40 is underway.
In the first half, everyone's quite strong, and there's no sustained climb or technical terrain, so everyone can sort of hang on or sort of yo-yo off the back.
I would never give any kind of a gap. Took whole patent on his own, but never mind with Braden Lang as well.
If the pace isn't like full gas at the very beginning, you might make some digs.
Sounds like we have some action off the front as Cole Patton and Braden Lang have separated from the pack.
Braden Lang, Cole Patton being caught by Keegan Swenson.
There's always like little partnerships out there sometimes, and I think those guys were going to be up to something. I want to win the race, like that's always the goal, but you know, I don't need to win this race.
At the 12-mile mark, Tobin Ortblad going for the counterattack, but now he's solo, and he's going to have to wait for another group to coalesce behind him.
We love to see an animated race, and in the early goings, the men's field is giving us just that. But now let's jump ahead to the 00 aid station and rejoin our women's field.
Over there. Group of 15, big group.
So as the women clear the 00 aid station, let's check the leaderboard brought to you by SBLI. At mile 17, it's basically one big group with Savilia Blunk currently in the front, followed closely by Deanna Males, Sofia, Melissa Rollins, and Michaela Thompson rounding out the top 5.
Come on,
We're hearing there was a couple crashes in the women's field involving Aaron Huck, Hannah Otto, and Jenna Reinhardt, amongst others. So that's really thinning things out early, and we'll just see if any of those riders are able to make it back into contention. And now Haley Smith is also having some kind of trouble out on course.
I don't actually know what I'm dealing with. The mechanics that allow your lungs to expand properly, your diaphragm to move fluidly, they're not working properly for me.
I don't trust it to come around. It's been 8 months and I don't know how to make it. I don't know how to get better.
Trek doesn't put pressure on it, but that said, this is my job. If it takes too long to fix, then there becomes pressure.
We hope to see her back out there real soon, but now let's catch up with the rest of the women's field.
Strategically, it's really important to stay close to the front because if someone makes a move, you need to be there and you need to be ready.
Our women's field is now turning off the road and headed up Fire Tower. This is a pivotal part of the course. A lot of times, this is where we see a breakaway happen.
You need to burn as many matches as you possibly need to, even before the big climb.
Here's a look at Sofia's data from her Garmin device as she makes her way up Fire Tower.
Fire Tower is where a lot starts to happen in the race.
Savilia looking calm. Alexis Skarda, determination on her face coming through.
And here you can see Alexis's Garmin data.
Up and over Fire Tower is also super important because afterwards you have the Berkey rollers. It's this like undulating slog of small climbs that add up and can really break the race apart.
So now, coming out of the Sealy Fire Tower, the women's field is really starting to break up as Sofia, Savilia, and Alexis hold the top 3 spots with a gap on the rest of the field.
We got our lead group of 3 coming through. And a significant gap back to 4th to 6th, the rest of the group, whatever's left. Again,
burn all of your matches because that's where the race breaks up. That's where it happens.
Now we're spread out, now we're split up, now we're getting down to it.
All right, looking at the Garmin Tread XL, it looks like our women are going to be coming in about 25 minutes.
All 3 are going to want to roll together almost all the way to the finish. And then those last couple of miles, that's when all bets are off. That's going to be a good finish.
As our lead women start closing in on the finish, let's go back to the 00 aid station to get the latest from the men's race.
Toby.
Let's go,
Toby.
When we left off, Tobin Ortenblad had just counterattacked the field and went solo off the front. As they enter 00, that is still the case as Tobin now has a 1-minute gap. For the rest of the top 10, here's your leaderboard brought to you by SBLI. Similar to the women, everyone is still bunched together with Alex Howes, Keegan, Matt Beers, and Alex Wild in spots 2 through 5. Now let's throw it back out to Tim as the men take their turn on Fire Tower in the meat of the race.
This group, really, they haven't determined if they're going to be chasing or they're just going to be waiting to see what happens at Tobin.
It's interesting to see some of the guys that choose to really push their marbles into the middle of the ring so early when the group is still really big. And to get that elastic to snap that early in the race is a big ask.
Going up the Fire Tower climb. So this is going to be the big test.
The elastic is most likely to snap on Fire Tower.
Tobin really hammering this climb. He is looking so good. And this climb just keeps coming up and up and up.
Fire Tower is a separator because it causes a deep
power, you need multiple riders who are willing to trade turns to really snap that elastic.
As Tobin tops out at Fire Tower, let's take a look at Payson McElveen's data from his Garmin devices as we watch the chase group climb from his POV.
Because you're working against a group behind you, and likely the group behind you is big.
Here we go, checking in from the top of the Fire Tower climb. Keegan Swenson leading up, Alex Wild on the left. Sean Fincham having a great ride. Canadian National Marathon mountain bike champion.
And here you can see Matt Beers' data from his Garmin device as he makes his way up Fire Tower.
The question in my mind is, will we have a huge 15-person sprint again, or will it be a smaller group that gets away after Fire Tower and the Berkey rollers?
As the men's field makes its way through Seven Sisters, Tobin is still hanging on to that lead, but the chase behind him has started to dwindle as what was a group of over 20 riders is now down to 7. Can Tobin hold on? We'll find out in a bit, but first it's time to jump back over to the women for the conclusion of their race.
Back with our group of 3, and Savilia has just put in an attack, but nullified by Sofia. Alexis is on that wheel as well.
It's time to take a look at our women's leaderboard brought to you by SBLI. So under 10 miles to the finish, and our 3 leaders, Sofia, Savilia, and Alexis, remain out in front. A minute behind them, Madigan Munro and Gabriela Guerra are chasing together. And then another 90 seconds or so back from them, we have a larger chase group of about 6 riders. At this point in the race, it's looking like the podium position for our 3 leaders will be decided with a sprint finish.
As soon as I get into position after the big climb, I start thinking about trying to reserve some energy for a sprint finish. And so that's when you start thinking about how many matches do I have left after spending all that to get, away from the pack.
These ladies are flying right now.
The finish of this race is really tricky because, again, positioning is super important. And when you're on the front, you don't have the draft from the other rider. So you're naturally pushing more power than the riders behind you.
It's a downhill finish. Essentially, if it's a 3-up sprint, it's going to be a drag race. It's going to be whoever's got the biggest gearing on their bike, because they are flying down here.
You just have to kind of act on instinct and go with your gut and not hesitate.
All right, Cable, Wisconsin, your lead women are approaching the finish. Let's hear it.
Focus, Scout. It's about to go down right here, right now. Chequamegon 2024, presented by Trek Bike.
Here we go, sprint all the way in.
Grand Prix coming, there we go. 3-way finish, here we go. Cheer them on. We got 1, we got 2, and they're gonna come out. We got 1 coming around the backside. Are they gonna come to the finish line?
Sofia Gomez, Villafañe with the win. Holy cow, Alexis second again, 2 years in a row.
So there you have it. Sofia, Alexis, and Savilia 1, 2, and 3. Gabriela Guerra takes 4th with Madigan Munro in 5th. And now there's a second sprint unfolding. Erin Huck is in there after fighting her way back, but it looks like Paige Onweller, Deanna Males, and Anna Hicks are going to separate from the other 3.
Followed by Phil Todd and Max Leonard here. More females to take the field.
And Paige Onweller wins the sprint for a 6th place finish. Here's the leaderboard brought to you by SBLI for the rest of the women's field. Paige goes for 6th, Deanna Males 7th, Anna Hicks 8th, Melissa Rollins 9th, and Samara Shepard rounds out the top 10. Erin Huck worked her way up to 11th place, Erin Osborne 12th. Jenna Reinhardt was also able to work her way back up, landing in 13th place. And now it's the men's turn. Last we heard, Tobin Ortenblad was out front solo with a strong chase group nipping at his heels, including his teammate Keegan Swenson. Let's go back out to Tim to join up with the men as the end of their race is now rapidly closing in.
We have a mix-up. That section through the woods after the Fire Tower climb really just broke this race up. Tobin Ortenblad just hanging on right now.
So your SBLI leaderboard, Keegan now out front with Payson, Matt Beers, Sean Fincham, Alex Wild, and John Borstelman now together with Tobin, who they obviously caught. This one is looking like it's going to be a 6 or 7 person sprint to determine the winner.
After Fire Tower, there's some grass rollers. I know that part is going to be quite hard, and I think we can get rid of a couple more people on that section.
It looks like we have gone from that massive group of about 40 down to about a dozen. Up and over the climb, we saw Keegan pressing the pace, knowing that his teammate was up the road.
But then after that, I mean, the group you're in is in the sprint for the finish, and yeah, you just got to prepare for the sprint and think about your positioning.
Checking in from mile marker 37, out on course, getting near the finish. You can just see the tension in that group starting to build.
My goal, if it came to the sprint finish, was I knew it was a long sprint, and there's like 2 bumps. And as soon as we got over the first bump, no matter what, I was just going to sprint from there and essentially close my eyes and not open them until we're at the finish line. One of the reasons the sprint is so hard here is because of that downhill element and the fact that there's a plateau before it.
Here comes the lead moto, going by for the finish. The wide, grassy, downhill finish of Chequamegon 40. The sprint has started.
You're sprinting on that last riser before you see the finish. And inevitably, because you're going early, it's a longer sprint.
Tobin leading it out. Sean Fincham in second. Alex Wild going early in the sprint. Keegan Swenson picking it up. Payson and Matt Beers pulling up the rear.
You know, I've lost sprints because I haven't pushed all the way to the line before, and you think you have it, but then someone sneaks by at the end, so you have to make sure you just stomp on the pedals and just put the pressure on.
Finally, we won this race!
And Keegan Swenson holds on for the win of the Chequamegon 40 mountain bike race and the 4th stop of the Life Time Grand Prix. Oh no, looks like we had several riders go down in the second bunch sprint of the day. What an exciting finish to a fast and furious day of racing. We had Keegan Swenson with the win, Alex Wild in second, Sean Fincham in third, Payson McElveen in fourth, and Matt Beers in fifth to round out the podium here in the Northwoods of Wisconsin. Cole Patton ends up in 11th, Brendan Johnston takes 12th, and Dylan Johnson 13th. And Alexi, last year's winner, ends up in 14th.
Pretty textbook day of tactics. We don't always execute, but today we got it, so it felt good.
Stoked to finally win Chequamegon. I could win Sea Otter, Unbound, Leadville, Crusher. Always screwed it at Chequamegon, and finally. That's tough. Those rolling hills, the crunches, they're very tough.
Shucks.
Hi, Christian. I'm proud of you. You too.
Me and Cole put in some hard efforts and paid for them. We were both kind of like, we just need to salvage some points now.
Has anyone seen the finish time as they came across the line? 2 hours, 0 seconds,
0.01. So close to breaking 2 hours.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good fun. Nice to be back racing again.
It's a crazy race. Chequamegon, that's why we love it.
And with today's results, here's your updated SVLI leaderboard for the overall standings in the Life Time Grand Prix presented by Mazda. Now that we're 4 races in, these scores reflect 2 drop races. So Keegan's still in front with 70 points. Lachlan now second with 66. And Cole and Payson are now tied for third with 62. On the women's side, Sofia is in front with 70. Paige Onweller is in second with 66. Haley Smith is in third with 62. And Alexis and Melissa Rollins are now tied for fourth with 60 points. And that's going to do it for us here at the Chequamegon 40 in Cable, Wisconsin. But we will see you again soon, as the next race is only 2 weeks away as we head to Trinidad, Colorado for the RAD on September 28th. Until then, I'm Bill Elliston here with Tim Johnson and Lauren Hall, the Lifetime Events team and the Cole Collaborative Production team, saying thank you and see you next time.